Do you know exactly how much it costs to acquire a new customer for your MSP? If you do, you're definitely ahead of the pack, because most MSPs don't have a clue. There's another side to this, which is what's the average lifetime value of that new customer to your business? My special guest today is a true marketing expert and someone I'm delighted to call a friend. And he's very, very good at focusing the MSPs that he works with on these two figures and therefore how it affects their marketing. He's also, in the last year, started being advised directly by Alex Hormozi. And you're going to love some of the big risks and the changes he's made to his business since then.
Hi, I'm Nate Friedman from Tech Pro Marketing and MSP Sites. I help MSPs win new clients, and it's been my mission for the last 8 years to do so.
And thank you so much for joining me back on the show, Nate. It's been too long. And actually, you and I were together a couple of months ago at ScaleCon 25 in New Orleans. We were the naughty table at the back. So Nate found himself a table sort of off to the left. There were about like 400 MSPs at this amazing show. Nate's at the table at the back off to the left where no one could really hear us. We were just whispering little ideas to each other. And occasionally you heckled some of the speakers on the stage, which was pretty cool. But it was amazing to hang out with you. And I said to you, you've got to come back on the podcast. There's so many things that I want to talk to you about today. Before we jump in and we start talking about them, and particularly we're going to talk about ROI and we're going to talk about your experience with Alex Hormozi, which is a very cool story. But before we start talking about those, for those people who haven't heard of you yet, just tell us who are you, Nate Friedman?
You haven't listened to Paul's entire back catalog because I think it has been about maybe 5
years.
Yeah, since I've been on the show.
Now, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, so for me, I think I started like a lot of MSPs where I was interested in computers in high school. Me and you, Paul, have a similar story where interested in computers got more interested in web and online marketing. That kind of where I developed my interest. So for me, long story short, I went on a website called Upwork about 10 years ago thinking about leaving my corporate career. And I got a gig doing a website and SEO for a hypnotist in Australia. Not going to go too deep into the world of quit smoking hypnosis, but every time that she got a new appointment, she made $500, and she loved the SEO work that I was doing because it was driving real revenue. Long story short, worked with a bunch of different niches, kind of similar to you. Eventually, found my way back to the computer support world. And then shifted my agency's focus to only helping IT support companies, specifically MSPs, mostly who serve their local market, generate leads and win new customers. It's been a journey over the past 8 years. I think when I started, like a lot of people, I underestimated the challenge, thought it was going to be as easy as that quit smoking hypnotist deal. But what I realized, it was a lot harder, but also where I thought that $500 for every session she got, I thought she was the richest person alive. I realized that MSPs have so much more potential and that they can actually, with one deal, generate millions of dollars in new revenue. And I don't think that's a stretch for a lot of the audience listening today. So I think it's a good segue into our topic of customer acquisition cost and lifetime value.
Exactly that. And that's one of the things that has always appealed to me when I've looked at, because obviously, you know, you and I are kind of slightly in competition with each other because you do marketing for MSPs and so do I, but we come at it from different angles. And what I've always loved about your approach and why I'm delighted to partner with, you know, we partner with Tech Pro Marketing. We send people to you. We send people to MSP sites because you do lots of things we don't do. And what I've always loved about your approach is it's always been about ROI, about return on investment. And you and I know there's like 1,000 people that do marketing out there in the MSP world. And you're one of the few people who always brings every conversation back to ROI. So here we are as we're standing right at the end of 2025 now, and we're sort of just on that verge of 2026. The conversations that you're having with MSPs, you know, are they still, a lot of MSPs still coming into it and just saying to you, hey, I just need a website, or I just need this, or I just need leads, or are more of them starting to have that conversation of how do we turn this from being a spend into an investment?
Yeah, and I think it's about this concept of meet your customers where they're at. And we do, you know, my brand MSP Sites is specifically about MSP websites. And that's because I think on the surface level, a lot of MSPs, just businesses in general, they in their mind, deep in their heart, they're saying, well, I need to win new customers. But then that comes out of their mouth and they're saying, I need a new website. And I think it's just the zeitgeist out there. People just believe a new website is going to lead to new customers. The truth is, it's not, right? There's certain ways you can use your website. You can leverage it to get new customers, but a new website on its own is not going to do that. So I definitely start by meeting our clients where they're at and say, okay, well, you need a new website. Like, let's talk about that. A few questions in, I peel back a couple layers. It's always about getting new clients. And I wrote an article, 8 years ago. I think one of my first articles that I wrote on Barracuda's Smarter MSP blog was about selling on value, not based on the services. And I can honestly tell you, like, even though I wrote that article 8 years ago, it's taken me 8 years to even get to the point of really understanding that and really facing this return on investment discussion with the clients directly. As a marketing company, it's scary and challenging. As an IT company, I know there are some IT companies doing it as well. It's less scary, but more challenging. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think there are 3 core niches in all of marketing and in all of business. It's health, wealth, and relationships. And if you're in the IT business or you're in the marketing business or in the lead gen business, you're in the wealth business. And anyone who's working with us, they're doing it to see a return on investment.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You and I were just talking before we started the interview about some of the MSPs that you're working with right now and some of the things they're doing. And we won't name names, but you just showed me one of your clients who's generating more than 1 lead per day. And by lead, we mean a qualified lead. So someone that has reached out to them and said, please can you talk to us? We need some help. And we're recording this in the middle of October. And you were saying that's they've generated more leads than there've been business days in October so far, which is so cool. And then we started to look into some of the things they're doing. And obviously they're following all of your advice. Their website's up to date. They've got lots of content. They're dominating YouTube in their local area. There's lots of things they're doing. Do you still see a disconnect between MSPs that expect to start spending, a few dollars on marketing on Monday, and then they're upset because they haven't got any leads by Wednesday, versus the example we were just given there? Is that still a big thing? And does that mean you and I and all the other marketers in the channel have still got a hell of a lot of work to do in terms of educating MSPs?
Yeah, I think what this particular MSP did is they really understood the value of a new client for them. And then they understood how much they can spend and how much they can invest to get that new client. So this example that we saw, I think they've done an analysis that basically for all of the new managed services clients they get, the average agreement is around $2,500 per month. And then they found that their service margin, and these guys are very into the Evolve peer groups and the ConnectWise and the service leadership reports. They want to be best in class. Their service margin is somewhere around 50%. Probably their margin's a little better, like 52, 53%. So on average, they're profiting $1,250 every single month for every new client. And they keep their clients, like most of our MSPs, for at least 5 years, usually 10 years. Many of their clients have been with them for like 20 years already. So the average lifetime value in profit, I'm talking about, for this particular account is somewhere around $150,000. Their close rate on leads is somewhere around 40%. So you can see from that first part of the month where they got 10 leads, they might win 4 clients out of it. Not a math genius, but I think that's around $600,000 in profit. Mm-hmm. So like, Paul, if I asked you, hey, I'm going to give you $600,000 in profit, like how much would you give me back? What would you think? What would you want to give me back for that?
Let's see. But when you put it into a question like that, it becomes so obvious. So here's my follow-up question then. Why isn't every MSP doing this, Nate?
I think one is cash flow, like realistic cash flow issues, where it's like this client has cash. They understand cash. They understand the power of it. So they've actually gotten investment to float their way through so they can put in this higher spend each month, because to get that 600,000, right? I think you would pay a lot, but it would never make sense cash flow wise to pay 500,000 up front for 600,000 in lifetime value. That just wouldn't make sense. So you do need a significant amount of cash up front to have a decent marketing budget. And then it's probably just mindset after that, that they've got the stomach for it. And they're saying, okay, like, I think the issue that I've seen, maybe you've seen, and I've had myself as well. So I've seen it, but I've also felt it and I've done it, is I've been like, hey, I want to add $1 million in annual revenue this year. And my marketing budget is $3,000 a month.
Exactly. And how do you match those two things up, which is always a thing. Now, well, I could talk about this for hours, but I want to just change subject just for the last part of the interview, because when you and I were in New Orleans a few months ago, you told me that you had recently engaged with Alex Hormozi.
Yeah.
So many people listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube will have heard of Alex Hormozi. Some people may not have done. Do you want to just tell us who Alex is and what you've started to do with him? Because as someone who is a distant admirer of Alex's and reads everything that he puts out and watches everything he puts out, I thought this was so cool what you're doing.
Alex, my advisor. So yeah,
just to be able to say that is cool, right?
I've engaged him, as my advisor. It was definitely the most expensive thing I've ever done in my life, but for me, if you follow him, if you follow his journey, I think one thing that's very cool about the $100 million offers and then buildingacquisition.com is everything that he's achieved in life, he's kind of proved along the way, so he takes a lot of big risks as he's going. So one of the risks that he took is, if you read the first book, $100 Million Offers, is he sold off all of his gyms to start this company Gym Launch. And actually he took like $1 million loss when he sold the gyms, because he wanted to be able to use that 6-month period of time that it would have taken to prepare the gyms for sale to actually go and actually sell his new product, which was Gym Launch. So for me, like kind of putting the investment in with him, and I think, in my opinion, I think probably your opinion, it's the best advising money can buy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I could get, like, I can't get Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and I know they're not, one of them is not even alive anymore, but the other one, I'm sure I could offer $1 million. He's not going to advise me. Do you know what I mean? This is somebody that is open for advising, and he's available. So I think what I've learned from him, number one, is taking risks in business and taking calculated risks. I was way too passive beforehand. And for me, the risk that I'm talking about right now is investing in education and investing an extreme amount in an advisor. So I didn't take enough risks in investing in education. Number two, hard work. Like, one thing I learned there when I went out to visit their office is I asked about his sales team. I was like, how's your sales team so good? How are they selling so much? He's like, well, they get here at 5 a.m. and they leave at 6 p.m. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, and they work a half day on Saturdays as well. And I was like, that makes sense. Because my question was, how do you have time to do all the sales practice and the role plays that it takes to get good at sales and make all the calls? And they put in an extreme amount of work. So the value of hard work, the value of wanting to win and enjoying your business. And it's like, dude, well, you're like a slave driver there. It's like, no, everyone here loves hard work, and everyone here, they move across the country to take this job where you're going to work 5.5, 12, 13-hour days every single week because you love what you're doing. So I learned that there are people out there that want to work hard and love working hard, and I just need to find them. So I think, as a lot of MSP owners and small business owners, we have this kind of guilt where it's like, I need to give my employees tons of time off. I need to make their life as cushy as possible. And I think the guilt is coming from the fact that we're earning all the money at the end of the day. So we try to give them these really nice, we try to reward them with these other things because we're not going to reward them financially. I learned that it's like, no, I want my people on my team, I want them to work extremely hard, and I want them to get an offer for $500,000 a year annual salary. And if I can afford it, I'll match it, and if I can't, they've done an amazing job for me for a few years, and then they've set the culture. I think the last thing is just the leverage, and just using leverage in your business. So we talked about YouTube earlier, how MSP should be doing that. Alex, if you guys have been following, some of you guys have, some of you guys are going to go look him up and be like, whoa, what did I just stumble into? This guy used his personal brand to build so much leverage. So when me and when I went out there for a day with these 7 other business owners, spent a fortune to get there. And Alex is like really cleaning up. He's just his minute rate is like what most people make in their career. This guy earns so much. It's such an insane amount. He's done that all through leverage. So he's done that by creating the number one personal brand in the business space, on Instagram, on YouTube, number one selling author, number one on Amazon, number one everywhere, giving away all of this information. But the whole crazy thing about it is, because he works so hard, because he's so good at what he does, he actually, even though he's given away more information than anyone else out there, he's actually only given away a fraction of the information that he really has. And he leaves the rest for leverage. And then he delivers on every promise. So, when I was like talking to their sales team beforehand, I was like, I'm a little bit nervous. I've obviously never spent this much on education. I've joined programs that are $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. This is in another league. And they're like, well, has Alex delivered on every other promise, like promises in his books, on the webinars and everything you've been to? Has everything delivered on it? Yeah, they have. So do you think this would be different? No, I don't. And the truth is, it wasn't. And now I'm going back for another year. So is that the answer?
And it is. And I have to say, and I think I said this to you a few months ago, the quality of the conversation that you and I had in 2025 was different to the conversation we had in 2024. And a lot of that, I think, was things that he had said to you and ideas that he'd put in your head and directions he'd taken you. And certainly I'm watching what you're doing with your business now, and it's really cool. And it's, you're doing things that I don't think you even knew existed just 12 months before. So it does absolutely shows the power of paying for really good advice.
Yeah. And when you pay, and the irony of it is, right, the book, his first book that kind of blew up, was called $100 Million Offers, How to Create an Offer So Good That People Feel Stupid Saying No. I read the book. This is in 2020 when it first came out. I read it. Then I read it again. Then I read it a third time. Then I listened to the audiobook. Then, like you, I listened to all his podcasts. I watched all his YouTube. I've heard it so many times over and over. But it took me, really getting some skin in the game, and this is where I'm saying taking risks is so important to being an entrepreneur, because once you have skin in the game, then you really do it. And for him, he knew, if you're an MSP trying to raise prices, like, just think about it this way. Like, if he had charged me 100th of what he charged me to go out there, I would probably be like, the information wasn't that good. I'm not going to implement it. Mm-hmm. But because as humans, we equate quality to price. And especially when it comes to the sunk cost we put into something, or the investment we put into something, you're going to get something out of it. It's like you go to Ariana Grande or whatever, the tickets like $1,000. They sold out in like the first day. I'm telling my kids, we are going to have the best night ever. You will never have, this is going to be the best concert. You will have the best night of your life. We will make sure we do. But, we go to like, so whatever, some other concert, it's only $50, whatever. We'll leave early. We won't have that much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some lessons there and pricing is, let's be honest, is a quarter of a percent of the stuff that Alex Hormozi talks about. But yes, Alex Hormozi's books, $100 million offers, 100 million offer. What was the middle one? $100 million leads, and then the new one, $100 million money models, which I'm just halfway through at the moment. They're insane books. Get them all, as Nate says. Get the books, read them 15 times, listen to the books, and you won't regret it. If you do what Nate didn't, which is you actually start implementing off the books. And I think everything you need is there in the books. But as you say, it's implementation. This has been a fantastic talk. Thank you so much. Let's just finish very briefly. Tell us, what do you do to help MSPs? So tell us about Tech Pro Marketing. Tell us about MSP sites. Oh, and how can we get in touch with you?
Great. Thank you. So you can find me, our website's the first thing. techpromarketing.com, mspsites.com. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is Nate Helps MSPs. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can look me up, but it's linkedin.com/in/Nate Friedman, one word. With MSP sites, we have a platform and a system to help you get new clients. It's a complete end-to-end system. It includes a full website, which we set up and build for you, and then a lead capture and lead generation system behind it. We integrate with MSP Marketing Edge with a few other partners to help with some of the awareness and brand building and relationship building elements of it. And then we also have a coaching and training program to help you guys with the SEO and the ads and the lead generation elements of it. With Tech Pro Marketing, we actually do all that stuff for you. So a lot of our clients, they'll come in and they'll sign up with a package on MSP sites, which gives you the full system and teaches you how to use it. But then they might upgrade and just go for our done for you services where we build the whole system and then we run it for you. And our website is mspsites.com. If you go there, you'll be able to schedule a call with our team and we will help you figure out what the right package is for you.
Paul Green's MSP Marketing Edge.